For 22 years, I successfully managed the factory floor, maintaining an impeccable safety record with no major accidents. Can you guess what my reward turned out to be? A container made of cardboard for my belongings. Walter Harmon here, a 59-year-old lead foreman at Western Plains Manufacturing located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We manufactured industrial valves and pressure equipment for oil refineries, engaging in precision work where errors could have serious consequences in the future. On that Monday morning, I was summoned to the conference room by Angela from Human Resources. Nathan Wright, our recently appointed operations director with just 4 months under his belt, sat there analyzing a spreadsheet. Immaculate hands, neatly pressed shirt. He had only ever stepped onto my floor for the required safety tour. "Kenny, we're making some adjustments to our operations," Angela remarked as she slid a folder across the table. "The organization is optimizing its supervisory roles." Nathan acknowledged with a thoughtful nod. "Market dynamics, strategic reorganization." I accessed the folder. Compensation arrangement upon termination. Just 2 weeks to prepare my successor. One portion of my pension would be available to me right away, while the remaining portion would be dispersed in monthly installments. The logo displayed at the top of the page appeared to have undergone a transformation. Last year, they made changes without informing any of us on the floor. "Your replacement starts tomorrow," Angela added as casually as if she were informing me about the cafeteria's chicken special. "Tyler Weber. He holds a business degree from Oklahoma State." Highly encouraging. I shut the folder and observed the intricate patterns of the wood grain on the table. 2 decades and 2 years. No significant incidents. Day after day, I ensured that 346 employees returned home safely under my care. I developed the safety protocols that remain in use, established the maintenance schedules they adhere to, and provided training for every foreman and lead technician on that floor. "I see your point," I replied. Nathan appeared to be at ease. Patricia's smile seemed to lack genuine warmth. That night, I drove home the long way past the riverfront, where the old refineries used to stand. My father had been employed there prior to the company's relocation to the south. He often reminded me, "Kenny, that a man's worth lies in his creations, not his words." I developed a framework at Western Plains, establishing a culture and creating a comprehensive record. Now I found myself with 2 weeks to pass it on to a child who wouldn't grasp the significance of what he was taking apart. Upon arriving home, I reached out to my longtime friend Frank, who had retired the previous year. "I'm being let go," I informed him. "Those scoundrels," he remarked. "Are you planning to cause a stir?" "No," I stated firmly. "However, they will come to understand in due time. Certain insights require more than just a fortnight to truly assimilate." I ended the call and turned my gaze to the work boots resting by the door. 2 decades of factory floor residue that remained stubbornly ingrained. They were completely unaware of what was slipping away from them. I began my journey at Western Plains when my son Caleb was merely a year old. After 4 years of marriage, Laura and I recognized that this job represented not just stability, but also health insurance and a promising future ahead. Initially, there were 3 shifts a week, followed by a promotion to supervisor after 3 years. After 7 years, the role of assistant foreman was attained, culminating in the position of lead foreman upon the retirement of old Jack Thompson. The floor felt like a familiar sanctuary to me. I was attuned to the unique sounds of each machine, able to sense when the number 3 press was in distress long before any warning light illuminated. I had the ability to identify a safety hazard from a distance, detect the scent of hydraulic fluid that required replacement, and sense when the ambient temperature deviated by just 2 degrees. Laura often remarked that my concern for the factory surpassed my care for our home. Perhaps she had a point. Following her departure a decade ago when she took Caleb with her to Colorado, I dedicated myself entirely to my work. Festive occasions, leisurely weekends, and inclement weather days when a significant portion of the team was unable to attend. During my time, the company underwent 2 changes in ownership. The initial entity was Midwest Industrial Group, established in 2011. They maintained the majority of the elements as they were. In 2020, we were acquired by Axiom Partners, a group of private equity professionals focused on algorithms and efficiency metrics. They promptly began reducing unnecessary capacity. I observed the transformations gradually. Reductions in maintenance budgets sourcing from more affordable parts suppliers and extending the intervals for machine servicing. They substituted 3 of my top mechanics, with contract workers cut back on the inventory of replacement parts and began increasing production quotas every quarter. Half a year ago, Nathan Wright came equipped with his MBA and his spreadsheets. During his initial week, he convened a meeting on the floor. He announced that new performance tracking will be implemented across all departments. The future of manufacturing lies in making decisions based on data. Following the meeting, my lead machinist, Luis, took a moment to speak with me privately. Kenny, this individual, is likely to cause some issues. He inquired whether we could adjust the safety lockout procedure to enhance efficiency. I dismissed it at the time, assuring Luis that we would handle it, as we always had. However, the indicators continued to emerge. Nathan ceased his participation in the monthly safety reviews. Messages regarding equipment maintenance were left without a response. I have faced 3 rejections regarding my requests for the training budget. Subsequently, they brought on board 3 junior supervisors straight from college, who began to challenge the procedures we had meticulously honed over the years. One inquired, "Kenny, is it truly essential to conduct a complete diagnostic after each shift change?" Additionally, these daily inspections appear to be quite excessive. The manual suggests conducting checks on a weekly basis. I began to maintain my own documentation, engaging in the process of dating and photographing maintenance requests while meticulously documenting each conversation regarding safety concerns. A feeling nudged at me, suggesting that one day I might require evidence of the positive actions we had taken over the years. I was taken aback by how quickly I was asked to leave. The newcomer they assigned to take my place, Tyler Weber, arrived on his first day wearing dress shoes and a tie. A 28-year-old sporting gelled hair, frequently glancing at his tablet every 5 minutes. He expressed his enthusiasm to learn from you before assuming his new role, extending a firm handshake reminiscent of business school teachings. I have thoroughly examined all the production metrics and pinpointed numerous opportunities for enhancing efficiency. I acknowledged him with a nod and passed over a pair of steel-toed boots along with safety glasses. Begin with the floor tour. We'll address the metrics at a later time. Over the course of 2 weeks, I guided Tyler through every detail. I presented him with the maintenance schedules, the safety protocols, and the personnel files. I made sure to connect him with each shift supervisor and lead operator. As the days went by, I observed something intriguing. He was documenting the processes, yet overlooking the individuals involved. He refrained from inquiring with Luis about his son who had recently enlisted in the Marines. I overlooked the fact that Tanya on the assembly line required additional break time due to her diabetes. I wasn't aware that it required some gentle persuasion to get the number 2 milling machine going on chilly mornings. Last Thursday, I happened to catch a conversation between him and Nathan in the break room. According to Jason, the implementation of the new shift schedule may allow us to merge 2 of the maintenance positions. Kenny's insistence on safety redundancy for the hydraulic press is noteworthy. The manual does not necessitate those additional checks. Nathan nodded, a look of satisfaction on his face. This offers a refreshing viewpoint that is truly valuable. I was unnoticed as I stood there. I departed in silence, a chill taking root in my belly. These alterations went beyond mere cost-saving measures. They were systematically removing the protections I had established over many years. Measures that safeguarded individuals from the risk of losing fingers, arms, or even more severe injuries. That afternoon, I came to a pivotal conclusion. I convened an unexpected gathering with my most trusted colleagues. Luis, Tanya, Sam from maintenance, and Tim, who managed the night shift. Our encounter took place in the parking lot following our workday. I warned them that they would begin to take shortcuts. The newcomer is unaware of the gaps in his knowledge. "What actions would you like us to take?" Kenny Luis inquired. "It's essential that we acknowledge the new boss." I concurred. "However, it is possible to record everything. Maintain your personal documentation. Should any issues arise with the equipment?" I provided each of them with my personal phone number, neatly written on index cards. "Feel free to reach out to me." Not overseeing others. Myself. On my last day, I dedicated time to emptying my locker. Tyler had taken the liberty of sitting at my desk, meticulously rearranging items around him. I passed him my keys. "Do you have any final thoughts to share?" He inquired, hardly glancing away from his tablet. "Indeed," I expressed that. "Pay attention to the ground beneath you. If you listen closely, the machines have something to say." He offered a courteous smile, though it was evident that he was struggling to grasp the situation. I exited without any fanfare. There will be no celebration, no dessert, and no address. After 22 years, it all concluded with a handshake from Angela in Human Resources and a parking lot exit badge that became inactive the moment I drove away. However, my journey with Western Plains was far from over. Not quite. I found myself in a state of anticipation. It was 3 weeks after my departure when Luis reached out to me. He mentioned that the maintenance schedule for the hydraulic presses is being altered, his voice barely above a whisper, as if he were concealed in the supply closet, transitioning from weekly to bi-weekly inspections. "Record it," I instructed. "Be sure to observe any fluctuations in pressure, detect any leaks, and listen for any atypical sounds." Just 2 days later, Sam from maintenance reached out with a call. "My order for the parts needed for the backup generator has been denied. It was mentioned that we can hold off until the quarterly inventory." I meticulously documented each call, every alteration, and every shortcut taken. After 4 weeks, I made the decision to initiate formal communication. I composed an email to Nathan and Patricia, maintaining a professional tone and focusing on the essentials. "I've come across some troubling information regarding modifications to safety and maintenance protocols. With more than 20 years of experience managing these systems, I would be glad to offer my insights on the potential risks that these changes could bring about." Angela responded promptly within the hour. "I appreciate your concern, Kenny." The transition has proceeded seamlessly, with Tyler already introducing a number of efficiency enhancements. "We will definitely get in touch if we require your perspective." A clear message to maintain distance. At 6 weeks, the initial incident occurred. A minor incident occurred when a belt slipped on the number 3 press, resulting in a 2-hour shutdown. There were no injuries reported. Subsequently, there was a minor hydraulic leak that occurred during the 7th week. Subsequently, there were 3 distinct electrical problems that arose in the 8th week. After each incident, Tim reached out to me. "The newcomer is pointing fingers at the equipment, Kenny. Claims that it is entirely obsolete and inadequately cared for." My anger surged. The equipment operated seamlessly when maintained with the right attention. By the 10th week, I reached my breaking point. During my lunch break, I made my way to the plant and patiently waited in the parking lot. As Luis emerged, I gestured for him to join me by my truck. "What is the true extent of the situation?" I inquired. Luis surveyed his surroundings thoughtfully before responding. "Unfavorable. There has been a notable decline in production, with a decrease of 15% observed." Last week, Sam was let go from his position. He expressed a reluctance to embrace change. With Jason's college friend now handling maintenance, it's clear that he struggles to differentiate between a torquey wrench and a screwdriver. Has anyone experienced any pain? That was my greatest concern. Not at this moment. However, Tim came perilously close to losing a hand due to a malfunction in the safety switch on the cutting line. Tyler characterized it as a mistake made by the operator. At that moment, I came to a conclusion. I had acquaintances at the State Industrial Safety Board. A single phone call has the potential to initiate an inspection. The following morning, I placed that call. I articulated my worries, shared my background with the plant, and highlighted the particular changes that caused me concern. The inspector, a woman named Helen Barnes, meticulously recorded her observations. She assured me that an unannounced inspection would take place within the next 2 weeks. I experienced a sense of fulfillment. The system is designed to self-correct. 3 days later, Luis reached out once more, his voice filled with urgency. They are familiar with Kenny. It has come to management's attention that you were the one who initiated the inspection request. Nathan is taking a bold and dramatic step. My stomach sank. What is going on? We find ourselves putting in extra hours to tidy up manipulating maintenance records and halting production lines to address all the issues prior to the inspection. Subsequently, a legal letter arrived personally delivered to my residence by a courier. Western Plains Manufacturing was alleging that I had engaged in malicious interference with their business operations and had violated non-disclosure agreements. They warned me of potential legal action if I persisted in disseminating misleading information regarding the company's practices. I reached out to my attorney, Bill Henderson. After examining the letter, he let out a deep sigh. They are merely pretending regarding the NDA violations. While you haven't disclosed any confidential details, they certainly have the potential to complicate matters for you, particularly with the burden of legal expenses. Is it possible for them to halt the inspection? I inquired. Absolutely not. When the safety board makes the decision to conduct an inspection, it is carried out without delay. However, Kenny exercised caution. These corporate individuals resort to underhanded tactics when they feel threatened. I ended the call, a blend of frustration and unease swirling within me. They attempted to coerce me into silence while swiftly addressing the very issues I had pointed out. What might unfold following the successful completion of the inspection, they would inevitably revert to their old habits of cutting corners, albeit with a more cautious approach this time around. I required multiple inspections. I sought proof of widespread neglect. The inspection has taken place and concluded. The Western Plains have successfully moved forward. Hardly. Afterward, I received a call from Helen Barnes. She mentioned that they addressed the pressing safety concerns. However, I observed a number of issues in my report. Their maintenance documentation lacked consistency. A number of employees appeared to have prepared their responses in advance. Are there going to be any consequences? I inquired. Insignificant matters. Insufficient to foster lasting behavioral change. I expressed my gratitude before ending the call, feeling a mix of frustration and resignation. Organizations such as Western Plains demonstrated a keen ability to maneuver through these circumstances. Address the apparent issues, settle the minor penalties, and resume normal operations. During that weekend, I heard the sound of my doorbell ringing. There stood Tim, his demeanor betraying a hint of anxiety as he lingered on my front porch. I apologize for intruding on your personal time, Kenny. I wanted to share something with you outside of the plant. He presented me with a thumb drive. What is this? I inquired. Records of maintenance activities, the genuine ones alongside those fabricated for the evaluation. Additionally, there are emails exchanged between Nathan and corporate regarding the cost savings initiative. The planning for these cuts has been underway for a year long before your departure. They required an individual who would be more agreeable than you were. I welcomed Tim in, and we dedicated hours to meticulously examining the files. The image that unfolded was more troubling than I had anticipated. This situation transcended merely substituting a costly veteran for a more economical junior manager. Western Plains was adopting a company-wide approach, characterized by intentional underinvestment in safety and maintenance, weighing the heightened risk of accidents against anticipated quarterly savings. One email from an executive at Axiom Partners stood out as particularly unsettling. Insurance provides protection against unforeseen accidents. Falling short of earnings expectations has resulted in losses for our investors. They were taking risks with the well-being of individuals, my community, the individuals I had safeguarded for over 2 decades. Additionally, Tim indicated another folder. Tyler is aware that the equipment is deteriorating. Examine the maintenance requests that have been turned down. The list was truly remarkable. Essential safety elements, redundant systems, and proactive replacements all experienced a similar downturn. We will postpone this to the next quarter due to budget limitations. What is the reason for presenting this to me? Tim, I inquired. This may jeopardize your employment. Tim's demeanor became resolute. Tanya's nephew experienced an injury yesterday. The press guard has encountered a failure. The one Tyler mentioned wasn't essential to replace. Children 19 experienced the loss of 2 fingers. It has been labeled as a case of operator error. Having him sign documents while he was still under the influence of pain medication. My hands tightened without my conscious control. That action is not permissible. According to Tim, they are indeed taking action. It seems inevitable that a more serious situation will arise soon. Once Tim departed, I found myself in my kitchen lost in thought for hours. The array of evidence lay before me on the table. I found myself caught in a conflict between anger and duty. These represented more than mere numbers on a spreadsheet. These were real lives, individuals with whom I had shared many years of collaboration, families I was familiar with. I reached for my phone to contact the safety board once more, then came to a halt. A further examination would not suffice. Western Plains would briefly address the issues, incur another penalty, and perpetuate the cycle. This called for an alternative strategy. I reached out to Luis, followed by Tanya, and then connected with 6 other reliable veterans from the floor. We scheduled a gathering at Frank's residence for the following day, impartial ground. As everyone gathered, I shared the knowledge I had acquired, presented the evidence that Tim had supplied. What steps should we take next? Luis inquired about the completion of my task. Should we engage with the media? I gently shook my head in disbelief. Not at this moment. Initially, we require leverage. What type of leverage are we discussing? Tanya inquired. The type that truly impacts their bottom line, I remarked. I require a comprehensive account of all shortcuts, taken failures encountered, and near misses experienced since my departure. Carefully recorded, time-stamped, and visually captured when feasible. Harold highlighted that anyone found gathering that information will be dismissed. I understand, I mentioned. It's essential for us to approach this with intelligence and thoughtfulness and understanding. I observed the individuals around me. Talented individuals who truly merit more than being regarded as expendable components in a corporate system. Allow me a fortnight, I expressed. As you navigate through your endeavors, remain vigilant and prioritize your safety. During the following fortnight, I transformed into a mere specter at Western Plains. Though I never physically visited the property, my influence was undeniably present. Luis and the others provided me with valuable insights on a daily basis. Reports on shifts, breakdowns of equipment, occurrences of safety incidents. I gathered all the information with great care, constructing an argument that was impossible to overlook. In the meantime, I took 3 significant steps. Initially, I contacted George Lawson, a previous client, who is now employed by Meridian Energy Solutions, the largest customer of Western Plains. We gathered for coffee at a diner located 20 miles from the plant. "Kenny, it's a pleasure to see you," George remarked as he extended his hand for a shake. "I've been curious about your absence. I mentioned forced retirement, but that's not the reason I requested this meeting." I presented him with images of faulty pressure valves that had been sent from Western Plains over the last month, valves intended for installation in Meridian systems. "These have successfully passed inspection." George inquired, his brow furrowed. "The updated inspection procedure, indeed. There are repercussions for taking shortcuts, George. I would find it unbearable to think of any failure occurring at one of your facilities." George examined the photos with great attention to detail. "This matter requires your full attention, Kenny. Our long-standing partnerships with suppliers span 3 decades, yet our top priority remains safety. I simply request that Meridian carries out its own quality audit. Take a moment to observe for yourself." I reached out to Helen Barnes once more at the safety board. This time I presented detailed documented violations, including dates, times, and photographic evidence, rather than just general concerns. Helen remarked that this is significantly more substantial than it was previously. "I will need to involve my supervisor in this matter." "I see your point," I replied to her. "Kindly refrain from mentioning my name at this time." The third move carried the highest level of risk. I contacted Tyler Weber personally and requested a lunch meeting away from the plant. Much to my astonishment, he consented. He appeared weary when he arrived at the restaurant, with dark circles beneath his eyes and his collar slightly askew. "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me," I remarked after we placed our orders. "How is the floor performing?" Tyler swept his hand through his hair thoughtfully. "To be frank, the situation is quite chaotic. With equipment malfunctioning consistently and corporate pressures mounting regarding production targets, it's becoming increasingly challenging to meet quotas when half the line is breaking down every other day." "They certainly kept you in the dark about what awaited you, didn't they?" "They claimed the operation required an update, suggesting you were hesitant to embrace change. Yet, each time I attempt to address an issue, 3 additional complications arise." I acknowledged with a nod. "That is due to the fact that they took apart a system that was functioning effectively. Have you reconsidered those maintenance schedules you discarded? They weren't excessive. They were essential. Nathan expresses that the budget is insufficient to accommodate that level of maintenance. What is the current status of the budget, considering the decrease in production and the increase in quality concerns?" Jason's silence spoke volumes. "Pay attention," I urged. "I didn't invite you here to boast. I inquired because in approximately 2 weeks, a number of events are set to unfold. Meridian Energy is set to request a thorough quality audit. The safety board is set to carry out yet another unannounced inspection. The findings of consistent safety breaches are set to reach multiple desks, including those at corporate headquarters." Jason's complexion drained of color. "Are you implying a threat towards me? I'm presenting you with an option. You have the choice to be the scapegoat when everything unravels the novice manager who faltered under pressure, or you can take proactive steps to navigate the situation effectively. What is the process through meticulous documentation? Nathan and the corporate team have exerted considerable influence on you. Each maintenance request you submitted that received a denial. All safety concerns that were overlooked." Tyler gazed at his plate of uneaten food. "I fear I might lose my job." "Perhaps. However, you would be making the correct choice, and you would avoid carrying the weight of a preventable death on your conscience. I entrusted my card to Jason. Consider this. You have a week to go. After 3 days, I received a text from him. I'm on board. How can I assist you today? Everything was coming together seamlessly. At this point, we were on the brink of achieving our goal, requiring just one last effort to cross the finish line. A scenario that would compel Western Plains to confront the outcomes of their decisions. In a striking turn of events, the leading hydraulic press, which serves as the backbone of the production line, experienced a catastrophic failure the very next day. Fortunately, there were no injuries. However, production came to a standstill. The moment of reckoning had come. At 6:15 a.m., my phone began to ring. It was none other than Nathan Wright himself. "Kenny," he remarked with a noticeable strain in his voice, "a situation has arisen at the plant." I responded with a sense of calm, acknowledging what I had heard. The news of the shutdown had spread throughout the plant group chat by midnight. Let me be straightforward. Your expertise is essential to us. The primary press is currently non-operational. Production has come to a standstill, and we are facing a backlog of orders. The issue remains elusive to our maintenance team. That's due to the fact that you let go of Sam, who had been in charge of that press for 15 years, as I noted. Nathan let out a deep, weary sigh. Is it possible for us to put the past on hold for the moment? The organization is eager to engage you as a consultant to help us regain our operational efficiency. I'm all ears. $300 an hour in cash. No inquiries made regarding the solution to the issue. It is essential that we have it operational by the end of the week. I found it quite amusing. They believed this was solely a matter of finances. I assured them I would arrive in an hour. However, I do have certain stipulations. First, I will be bringing along my team, Luis, Tim, and Tanya. I possess full control over decisions regarding repairs and the ordering of parts. I would like to request access to all maintenance records from the past 6 months, please. Nathan paused for a moment. Very well. I will do whatever is necessary. Upon entering the plant an hour later, I was met with a scene of utter disarray. Operators are at a standstill while managers gather in hushed corners, their conversations urgent. The enormous hydraulic press looms silent and shrouded in darkness. Tyler came to me right away. I'm so glad you're here. It's more troubling than I anticipated. I acknowledged with a nod. Let's take a closer look. As I examined the press, clarity emerged. A series of system breakdowns resulting from prolonged maintenance neglect. Precisely what I had cautioned against. I glanced over at Leonard, who was lingering close by. Before I proceed with the solution, there's something important I want to share with you. I retrieved my phone and accessed my email. I have just forwarded this report to the executive team at Axiom Partners, the State Safety Board, and Meridian Energy Solutions. It thoroughly examines each safety violation, every shortcut taken, and every risk introduced by the policies you've put in place. Leonard's complexion faded to a pallid hue. That isn't possible. I have already done that, I mentioned. So, are you interested in getting this press repaired or not? Just 3 days. It took that long to repair the hydraulic press, a task that could have been easily resolved had my initial schedules been adhered to. Over the course of those 3 days, Western Plains encountered a remarkable array of outcomes. Meridian Energy has put their orders on hold while they conduct a comprehensive quality review. The Safety Board conducted yet another inspection, this time significantly more detailed than the previous one, while Axiom Partners dispatched their operations team to evaluate the circumstances. On the 3rd day, Nathan had vanished, relocated to the corporate headquarters. Tyler continued in the organization, albeit in a diminished capacity, now reporting to a newly appointed operations director sent over from the parent company. After we successfully got the press running again, the new director, Thomas Whitfield, summoned me to his office. Remarkable effort, he remarked. The corporate team has thoroughly examined your documentation. Exceptionally detailed. I remained silent, patiently biding my time. We are undertaking a comprehensive transformation of our maintenance and safety protocols across all our facilities, Thomas continued. And we would like to extend an offer for you to join us as the Director of Manufacturing Operations for Western Plains. I took the time to reflect on the offer. What is the salary range? Thomas proposed a figure that was 30% greater than my previous earnings. What about having full control over maintenance schedules and safety protocols, absolutely while keeping budget limitations in mind? I couldn't help but shake my head. That is the issue at hand. Safety is not something that can be measured or allocated on a quarterly basis. I rose to depart, then hesitated. I will seek advice. 3 days a week, my pay rate per hour. I will assist you in reconstructing the systems I developed, ensure your team receives the proper training, and restore production to its optimal level. However, I have decided that I will not return to being an employee. Thomas reflected on this for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Agreeable. I chose not to return for the title or the financial reward. I returned for Luis, Tanya, Tim, and everyone else who merits a secure workplace. I returned to reconstruct what I had dedicated 22 years of my life to building. As I stepped onto the floor that following Monday, I noticed the machines were operating with a newfound smoothness. Their awareness of the old caretaker's return was unmistakable.